Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here, and I've got another great surprise, and that is Patrick Wood here that I was so glad to interview. But we're here at Freedom Force International in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm having a blast. Are you?
I am, absolutely. Yes, indeed.
If you guys ever get a chance, you should totally check this out.
This is the place to go in November, December. This is the destination of choice. It's Tempe, Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. It's a great place.
Yeah, we're outside, and look, no snow.
70 to 68 degrees, and the air is wonderful.
Definitely. Well, if you guys don't know who Patrick Wood is, he's got lots of massive credentials, excuse me. He is the go-to guy for the Trilateral Commission, and he wrote Technocracy Rising. Great book. Can you tell them maybe a little bit more information about who you are?
Yeah, I can. I started writing back in the 1970s, late 1970s, with Professor Anthony Sutton. He's since passed, so he's a late Professor Anthony Sutton now. But we wrote two books called Trilaterals over Washington, Volumes 1 and 2. And those books became the definitive source of information at the time on the Trilateral Commission. Oh. We sliced it and diced it a bunch of different ways, and you know, we had a lot of great information. But the years passed, and history went on, time went on, and we tracked the Trilateral Commission and what they did all those years and stuff. And about 10 years ago, I discovered this link to Technocracy, which a historic technocracy from the 1930s, and began to put some dots together I'd never seen before. And all of a sudden, I realized that what the Trilateral Commission said they were going to do in 1973, which was to create a new international economic order, it was really they were really talking about technocracy. This was an economic system devised in the 1930s. It started out at Columbia University. It's a pretty prestigious place. Yeah. Their scientists and engineers, many of them were involved in the definition of technocracy. But it was a resource-based economic system. They thought they were going to replace capitalism and free enterprise altogether, because during the Depression, you know, there's soup lines and, you know, things were tough. And they thought capitalism was dead. So they to the rescue, you know, here comes the cavalry, right?
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, so they thought, well, we can run it. We can do it. We'll make a new model and whatever, and we will run the economy in the world and get rid of all the politicians altogether. Just wanted to fire them. Go home. We don't need you. But anyway, this is kind of the 40-year saga of you know, starting out with just the Trilateral Commission. We didn't understand historic technocracy back then. Tony didn't either at the time. There's reasons for that, but it was hidden from history, from the history books. And when I discovered it, it clicked with me almost immediately. So I really did a massive amount of original research on technocracy, and I ended up, oddly enough, up at University of Alberta in Edmonton, Canada, of all places, where I found the master archive of all the technocracy documents from the 1930s and 40s. Wow. It was huge. I spent a week up there and just barely got through all of the archive boxes and stuff, and got pictures and personal letters and journals and magazines and you name it. I had it all. I got to look at it all. So here we are today. Now, you know, here I am in any case, delineating the history of this and the players, you know, who the people are involved in it. So it's a long way around the topic you asked me, but
no, it's good stuff. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
One of the main speakers, by the way. But so with that, where do you see the world going altogether? Like, knowing what you know, knowing the information you know, knowing the actual game plan with the fake lie of global warming, where do you see things headed?
Global warming is the means to the end. It's not the end in itself. It's a nasty thing for sure. It's pseudoscience, which is what these scientists are talking about today. But the global warming / climate change, whatever you want to call it, is not the end game for this. It's only the means to an end. The whole thing has been focused around sustainable development from the get-go. This was started back in 1992 with the production of Agenda 21, which you're familiar with, and the first Earth Conference in Rio de Janeiro. And the doctrine for that came from one primary source. It was Gro Brundtland from Denmark, who had been commissioned by the UN to create whatever study group. they produced a book called Our Common Future in 1987. That book became the intellectual fodder for Agenda 21, and the United Nations has widely hailed her as being kind of the, you know, the, what, not founding father, the founding mother, I guess, whatever, of sustainable development, right? She was a member of the Trilateral Commission, oddly enough. So the policy got introduced, right? It's like, I hand it off to you now, United Nations, go take it and run with it. And look what they've done since 1992 with sustainable development. This is an economic system. And it wants to convert all of the public resources and all of the private resources into the hands of technocrats, if you will, to manage the entire economy, all production and consumption, to take over the whole enchilada and run it for our benefit.
Is it our benefit?
No, it's not.
Not ours.
It's not. But the whole thing is very disingenuous. The utopian goals that they feed to us, like eliminating poverty, and they're going to, you know, everybody's going to have a job and education and, you know, running water and whatever. That's a crock. It's a front for the real agenda, which is to take away from people the natural rights that they've gained over this, you know, centuries, whatever, decades. Especially in America, we're really sensitive to this because we have prospered because we have private property. That's the foundation of our economic system. And if you take away our economic system of free enterprise and capitalism, we're done. We're done. The political system doesn't matter. Who cares what the political system is if you're living like a tramp in the bushes, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, and you're dumpster diving and whatever for your food. You don't care who's running the country.
No.
You know, as long as they don't come and just shoot you on the spot, you don't care. Well, this is the direction that these people are taking us, and towards kind of a neo-feudalistic society where they have everything and they have control of everything. And here we are, being reduced, right? And what we can do, what we can own, how we can conduct our lives with business and stuff like that. You know, every time you turn around now, somebody's got some new regulation in your face. Oh, you can't do that. You know, it's like we become a nation of Americans.
Yes, that's
instead of Americans, right?
Right.
That's us.
Yeah, you know, and I agree 100% because I've read Agenda 21. I've read I don't know, I'm sure you know about the Kissinger memorandum, the Kissinger report. I read that one's freaky. You know, food wars and everything. And you know, when we look at things and we just see where we're headed all together, you see what they're doing. And when you get onto their game, I think like we have to fight at the level, you know, with the info war, with getting information out, and we have to combat it. And like, that's why I think what we're doing here is so important, because that's what we're doing. Activists fighting, you know, a false religion of environmentalism, so to speak, that's, you know, that's kind of taken over, and extremists.
I'm trying to, you know, as we peel back the layers of the onion or the leaves of the artichoke, as I told somebody the other day, just give me the heart. I forget the leaves, you know. Just give me the heart of the artichoke, and I'll be happy. Yeah,
it's not much fruit there or meat there.
I know. If you get to the bottom of this thing, you know, all of the environmental thing is very aggravating, and it needs to be busted. Global warming needs to be busted, and it's being busted. But you know what? It was busted 10 years ago too. Saying the same way. There's a great material out there that's pretty old now that completely discredited these people. But they turned it into a religion. It's not just a scientific proposition anymore. It's turned into a religion. But one layer above all of the rank and file United Nations types that are just spinning out this stuff, you know, with abandon. One layer above it, you find a layer of globalists that are involved, like Dr. Ball talked about Maurice Strong, for instance, who was the guy that actually ran the Rio conference in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. That level of people have an agenda that you and I very seldom see. But it's there, and it's documentable beyond a shadow of a doubt what they're doing. They're attempting to subvert the resources of the world into their hands. That's what this is all about. it's a resource grab, a deception, but it's a resource grab of epic proportions. And if I say it's a global deception, yes, it is, because it's in every country in the world. Yes. These people are no, they're not insane. That's the wrong word to use, right? They may be geniuses, for all I know, for what they pulled off. But if you went to like a Chicago, where it's known for its crime families and all of its shenanigans and stuff, and you said, well, there's a gang down on a certain street or whatever, you know, that's pulling stuff off. They're extorting shop owners and whatever, you know, or intimidating people. You say, well, that's a gang. That's the way gangs work, right? They're cons. They con people into stuff. They browbeat them. They intimidate them. They do whatever they can to get them, manipulate them. This group at the top is nothing more than a gang of thugs. Really, they are. Well, they dress nice. They got suits and ties, you know, and they always look so proper, and they've got PhDs, you know. And whoa, I went to, you know, Columbia, or I went to here or there, you know, whatever. Yeah. And they use this position to look reputable, but the dark hearts that they have, if you look down at what they're doing, you say, this is serious stuff. These people are just gangsters in a sense, that they pulled this off. And so in one hand it's genius for them to do it, because look, we're the ones now that have been, we're trying to dig our way out.
Yes.
They have nailed us for 40 years and nobody has recognized who they are. And that's one of my life's missions, is to tell people who they are, specifically who are some of these people, where do they come from, why are they doing what they're doing, and why do they think they can get away with it? Because if people don't know who they're fighting, how can they possibly win?
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, we could fight, they want us to fight environmentalism. I'm convinced of it. They want us to fight global warming. As long as we're talking about global warming, we're not talking about them.
That's true.
Now, Tim Ball, Dr. Ball, he brought up Maurice Strong. That's the right guy to bring up. He's a rat. He's dead now, but he's a dead rat.
Dead rat.
Excuse me. I guess a dead rat won't sue me for that either.
Sure.
But there's people like Maurice Strong that are out there doing stuff like what he did. These are the rats that are manipulating the world for their own benefit. We need to stop these people before they destroy our planet. They're all saying we're going to save the planet. That's BS.
Oh, it is.
It's BS. Not only are they not saving the planet, they're in process, the policies they're setting into place will destroy the planet rather than save it. You know, try that one on. It's like, okay, you promised this, but you're doing this. And that's kind of been history anyway. You know, if you look back at what people have done in, you know, hundreds of years, you see that kind of mentality, right? You say, oh, I'm going to give you this, politicians. Oh, I promise you this, that, and the other, and then they get into power, and it's like, you know, they give it to you, right? It's, well, so much as that's for life.
That's true. But I mean, it makes sense, because we have, you know, all these globalist-minded organizations. We have the UN, the World Economic Forum, Trilateral Commission, a bunch of unelected bureaucrats attempting to roll things. You know, that's what they want. Ultimate power corrupts absolutely. You know, I mean, I really believe, you know, you get there, and there's so many people who just, they want that power grab. They want that, I'm better than you. And they really want, I believe, a rich class, poor class. And you can accomplish that using the green agenda. You know.
It does, absolutely. You give me a case in point, too. In Africa right now, there's a lot of discussion going on about eliminating poverty, right? And they say they're going to eliminate poverty in Africa. Oh, you got a lot of poor people in Africa, little villages and stuff, people living out in the country, whatever. Not that they're not probably happy in some ways, but, you know, they could be a lot happier if they had electricity maybe, or if they had some other, you know, more modern conveniences, running water, stuff like that. But the policies these idiots are putting in place in Africa, let's give them a solar cell on their hut.
Yes.
So they can access the internet between, you know, 10 and 12 or something when the sun's shining in its peak. But at night, what happens at night? At night, they're still going to bed when the sun goes down, because they can't read, talk, or do anything, right?
Yeah.
So the policies they're putting in place, instead of saving Africa, it's locking the African people into abject poverty and development, you know, undevelopment for permanent. It's like they'll never get out. They'll never dig out. If they wanted to save these poor people, they would they would ramp up the energy producing machines that we have now and Africa's rich with coal and oil and natural gas. They'd ramp up the generators. They'd slap out those, big walking, robot type, what are they, the power things, and they distribute power all over the continent.
Right.
Bring the power down to the people. Let them start doing things with the land that they do. Maybe they'd like to, I don't know, have an electric lawnmower or something, whatever. But energy brings prosperity.
Yes.
Period. They don't want to give them the energy. They want to we'll give you a windmill.
Yeah.
Or we'll give you a solar panel. Oh boy, it will come by UPS. And that's nuts. And they say, "Oh, look what we've done."
Meanwhile, there's millions dying.
I know. Meanwhile, Bill Gates goes over with his vaccine program.
Yes, kills them.
While they're still living with this, the solar panels, sticks it to them. It's crazy. They say they're saving the world, but they're not. Bottom line.
I agree. Well, do you have any books, a website, information that those on YouTube can check out if they want to look you up? Any of that stuff?
Absolutely. My book's available, Technocracy Rising. It's available on Amazon.com. There's a Kindle version available. Some people really like Kindle, and we get quite a few orders. But if people buy Technocracy Rising on my website, which is technocracy.news, I love to send out an autographed copy. Oh. I just do that as a standard practice. And so that I get to look at each one, consider each name, whatever, and I do. But technocracy.news is my website, and everything that I do relating to technocracy is there. All of my older articles are there. There's news stories posted from all around the world that talk about technocracy in some way or fashion, whatever. And I try and connect the dots for people there to let them see with their own eyes and hear with their own ears what these people are saying, so they can make their own judgment. It's not just me saying it. I say a lot. Some people believe me without questioning it, but a lot of people don't do that. They want to show me, show me the proof. I say, okay, fine. Here's the articles. You go listen to this guy. You go read what he said, and then you make up your own mind.
I agree. That's the best way. And for all your YouTubers out there, I'm going to leave all the links in the info box below, his website, his book information. So make sure you check that out. And I just want to say, you guys are huge in the battle for truth. You are the ones who are spreading the information that, we're giving as much as we can. And without you guys, we wouldn't have
Amen.
An info war. So God bless you guys. You guys are awesome. And thanks again for coming on the broadcast.
My pleasure.
I'm going to get him on again. So, all right. Well, thanks again for tuning in. This is Lisa Haven and Patrick Wood signing out.